All right, and we've just hit 12 o'clock here. I want to welcome everybody to the 2021 OU Student Congress Presidential Debates. My name is Ben Byrne. I'll be moderating this session right here. So we're going to start off by giving both candidates 3 minutes to introduce themselves and give a brief overview of their platform. From then on out, we'll be going through 4 prepared topics. After each one, I'll give each candidate an initial response of up to 1 minute. And from there, it'll be mostly free discussion for the next 5 minutes or so. And then after that, it'll take about 30 minutes or so. And then after that, we'll ask as much student-sent questions as humanly possible. And then with 5 minutes remaining, I'll give the candidates the opportunity to give closing remarks. And from then, we'll be all good to go. So I'm going to give the candidates, Miss Adeline Perhogan and Miss Jordan Tolbert, the opportunity to introduce themselves right now. We can go ahead with Adeline.
Hello, everyone. So first and foremost, I want to thank you all for being here. It's really appreciated. I'm Adeline Perhogan. I am the current Student Activities Funding Board Chair, and I am an Executive Board Member of Student Congress. I'm a first-generation college student majoring in history and secondary education with a concentration in social studies. I'm running alongside with Annabella Jankowski. Our main initiatives are transparency, campus involvement, health and wellness, and emergency support services. The highlights of our initiatives include hosting monthly student concerns forums, having a text remind system, hosting main stages and tabling, streamlining online learning, partnering with the Rec Center and Graham Health Center to provide resources and events for students to promote healthy living, and to contribute to additional relief funding, such as mitigating costs of textbooks through Student Congress funded scholarships. These are not the only initiatives we will be pursuing, but we recognize if elected, we will only be serving for 1 year. And above all, we wanted to create a plan that was achievable. We truly believe that we can best serve Oakland by working together, and we want to cultivate open communication and collaboration between students and upper administration. We hope you'll consider myself and Annabella for your next president and vice president. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Adeline. And Jordan.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jordan Tolbert. I am a current junior business economics major, and I'm minoring in music. I've been a legislator and also the chair of the Research and Review Committee this past administration, and now I'm running for president alongside Brennan Smith. My platform is very ambitious because we are, but I will definitely hit the main points of it. The main reason that I am running is to address the minority graduation rate. Currently, Black students at Oakland University finish their degrees at a rate of 20%. Additionally, Asian students finish their degrees at a rate of 38% and Hispanic students at 48%. Their white counterparts finish their degrees at a rate of 50%. I would like to address this disproportionate disparity by creating more financial aid literacy programs, academic support, and scholarships for students of color. I'd also like to meet and work with upper administration to continue working on solutions. Additionally, I would like to expand programs for our first-generation students. I'd like to support current financial aid literacy programs, create and fund scholarships for first-generation students, and we'd also like to expand the current programs to suit the needs of first-generation students. For the 20% of first-generation students whose first language is not English, this means translators. For the 27% of first-generation students who come from households with an income of $20,000 or less, this means scholarships. And for the 50% of OU first-gen students who express need for more support academically, this means tutoring. I'd also like to work to reinstate the Bear Bus. Students with physical disabilities, international students, and students without cars or licenses relied heavily on the Bear Bus. Students have gone so far as to transfer schools due to the sudden removal of this program that they needed so greatly. These students have the right to be advocated for. We would also like to work with administration to innovate our system so that students can choose to share their gender identity and pronouns. We want to expand accessibility options for students with psychological disabilities. We want to ensure that students with physical disabilities are able to navigate campus without issue. We want to do textbook drives, COVID-19 vaccine information, de-stressing COVID-19 isolation engagement events, combat sexual assault, harassment, violence, and promote and support Greek life. We also want to fund sustainability efforts on campus like the farm and support and advocate for student workers. We want to ensure that on-campus food is friendly to our students with allergies and food sensitivities, and we also want to work on making sure that minorities are being properly represented in student congress, student orgs, and just in all areas of OU. If I were to describe our platform in a few words, it would be equal access to education. We want to ensure that there are no barriers to prevent students from making the most out of their time here and utilizing everything that OU has to offer. This includes, but definitely is not limited to, removing barriers due to race, ethnicity, income, psychological disabilities, physical disabilities, national origin, first languages, sexuality, and gender identity. All students deserve someone who will fight for their equal access to education. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Jordan. And without further ado, we'll move on to our first topic regarding the return to campus from the COVID-19 pandemic. So I'll start with Adeline. How do you intend to ensure that there's a safe and efficient transition of the current COVID-19 learning environment into one that is similar but not the same as we are accustomed to?
Right. As we transition to in-person learning, we know this is going to be a process. It's not something that's just going to happen overnight. And above all, we want our students to be safe. We know Oakland is on the waiting list to receive the vaccine. We don't know when or if we'll receive that, and hopefully we can, and we can give that out to students. Besides that, right now, while we only have some classes in person, we do think students should not be required to attend classes if they have safety concerns, and these classes should be recorded and available for students to rewatch if they cannot attend. Once we have all classes in person and it is safe, we still want to incorporate social distancing and wearing our masks and keeping our students healthy. Oakland students have been phenomenal at this so far, and I don't question anything, and I don't question that students will continue to be safe on campus.
All right, thank you, Adeline. And Jordan.
As COVID-19 vaccines start to roll out, we would like to start doing COVID-19 vaccine information. A lot of people in this country are a little bit skeptical of the vaccine, and I've seen statistics where a majority of people surveyed have said that they are planning on not getting the vaccine. We definitely want to help ensure that there isn't like misinformation being spread, and we want to ensure that everyone has the access to information about vaccines. We would love to partner with Graham Health Center to do this, and also housing, since I've heard the director of housing talking about vaccine information for students. Additionally, we would like to continue, of course, holding students accountable for wearing masks and social distancing, since everything going towards in-person learning is still going to be a process. And we need to ensure that everyone is still staying safe as people get vaccinated.
All right, thank you, Jordan. And then, so my follow-up question to that, this next portion will be generally discussion. How might we handle students who generally say they do get vaccinated and then they stop feeling a reason to wear masks in and of itself because they feel as though they will not carry it and therefore cannot transmit it? And we can go ahead with Jordan.
Well, the vaccine is definitely not 100% effective. And considering that fact, I think that it would still be beneficial to the university to make sure that everyone is wearing their masks and social distancing regardless of whether they've gotten the vaccine or not. Additionally, I know that we won't be collecting data on who has or has not gotten the vaccine. So a student saying that they've gotten the vaccine is definitely not a sure thing. So we still need to ensure that everyone's wearing their mask and social distancing, because otherwise everyone could just say that they've gotten the vaccine when they haven't. It has to be a group effort.
Thank you, Jordan. And Adeline?
I think it's important for students to remember that COVID-19 is not something we've ever dealt with before, and we don't know long-term results. We don't know how it's going to work out in the end. So even if they have the vaccine, they very likely could still carry the disease. And we don't know if that's true or if that's not true. And I think Oakland should implement still wearing masks and social distancing. If for some reason we chose not to have all students wear masks, I think a great alternative would be the bio button. I know there's been some controversy around the bio button and what it does for our students, and if there's some sort of tracking or that kind of safety and privacy concerns. Annabella has had the bio button. I have not picked up mine yet, but I'm going to. And we are happy to share that information on the bio button and enlighten students on that process a bit more so they can feel more comfortable with it. And so we can have that and wearing masks and social distancing as well.
All right, thank you, Adeline. And if without further ado, we'll move on to the next topic. So how do you intend to improve and maintain relationships with faculty and officials across campus? And I'll start that one off with Jordan.
So I would definitely love to do keep up multiple relationships with different faculty and staff members, especially those in upper administration, especially those who work in housing. And we definitely want to continue to do the student concerns forums, because one of the most important things as a president that you should be doing with faculty and staff is keeping them informed on the issues that students have. We want to continue doing the student concerns forums, but we also want to talk to students personally and gather information about their concerns and anything that they would like to see changed or added or anything. And we will definitely be doing meetings with faculty and staff and admin, and definitely keeping up through email.
Thank you, Jordan and Adeline.
We definitely want to cultivate that open communication and collaboration with upper administration. As Jordan said, we too would like to continue the student concerns forums. I think they've been extremely successful and students have enjoyed them. We would also would promote more the student concerns hotline. I think a lot of students forget that's available, and they can use that to conversate directly with us, and we can take that information and present it to upper administration. Also having upper administration attend general body meetings and having meetings with ORA, OUSC advisors, housing, Chartwells, ELIS, the list goes on and on. But collaboration is key. We can have polls, we can have forums. We just want to continue having that information from students and advocating for students to an upper administration, and just continue that open communication and cultivating collaboration.
All right, thank you. And a follow-up question to that would be, so while having this open communication line, how can we ensure that while students are communicating their ideas, they may not see the entire picture, where it is essentially going to be your job to see the broad scope of things? And when students are giving you ideas, what are some things to keep in mind and how to go about it when it is packaging these ideas into policies that we can implement across to help the student body? And we'll go ahead with Adeline.
I think it's very important to be transparent with the students. They're not going to understand the whole process of taking that initial idea and making a bill, taking it through general body meetings, presenting it to upper administration. There's a lot of nitty-gritty and steps along the way. But being transparent with students and kind of explaining a condensed version of how that process will look to ensure that they will be heard. And if there is a concern that we can solve without that process, such as, for example, some concerns have been the dining hall, we can direct them to Chartwells, we can direct them to the upper administration, or if we want to be, we can work together with them and be that extra step and represent them to an upper administration. But when we can, showing them where to go and how that process looks like.
All right, thank you. And Jordan?
As president, I do feel that it is very important to represent the voices of our students. And although that students may not always see the big picture of things, I think it's important to make sure that you are relaying that information to them if they are missing something. If a student comes to me with a concern, as some already have, I would love to keep them updated on those concerns, whether that's via email or social media, however they reach out to me, I would love to keep them updated. And I would also argue that student voices are definitely not heard if they reach out to upper administration themselves. So I think that goes back to where I was saying that I would advocate for students in meetings with upper administration, whether that's with ORA, whether that's with housing or anyone. I will make sure that those student voices are being heard, because typically if a student reaches out to somebody in upper administration, it generally gets ignored or pushed aside. But in the position of president, I feel that we have a little bit more leverage and we can amplify student voices.
All right, thank you. And if either of you two have anything to add, you can feel free to go right ahead. We have about another minute on this topic itself. Not? All right, we'll move on to number 3 right now.
Oh, I was going to say I can add a comment.
Go right ahead.
I was going to say another additional thing would be, as the Student Activities Funding Board Chair, we help run those student organization trainings. So maybe another way to communicate with upper administration is bringing Student Congress into that process as well. So it could be OSI, SAFB, and Student Congress all helping out with the student organization trainings and having that clear communication with upper administration and the organizations and students on campus.
All right, thank you. Jordan, would you like to respond at all?
I just wanted to add that I do feel like the Student Concerns Forum hasn't been as effective as it could be, and I would like to alter the process a little bit. I would definitely like to ensure that all questions that are submitted are being asked, and if they're not asked directly at the forum, I would definitely advocate for those personally. And I would also make sure that it's being advertised a bit more. I've seen a lot of times where questions aren't being asked, but I know that there are on-campus concerns because they've been told to me. And I want to make sure that people know that the Student Concerns Forum is open and that it is effective. So I want to make sure that those two things are happening.
All right, thank you. And so on to our third topic. So what are some of the most important qualities a sitting president and vice president need to have? And I'll lead off with Jordan.
I would say that a couple of very important ones to me are compassion and also leadership. Everything that I have put on my platform and that I've spoken about today are things that I genuinely do care about and am genuinely passionate about. I wouldn't be running for president if I wasn't, and it would be kind of pointless, but I would also say advocacy. Making sure that students know that you are advocating for their needs and that you do care about everyone's individual needs is very important.
All right, thank you, Jordan. And Adeline?
I think the most important qualities are flexibility, collaboration, and self-awareness. This year has proved without a doubt, having a pandemic, you have to be flexible. There's going to be things that are going to change, and there's going to be things that need to be changed and you need to work on. And it's an ongoing process. There's never a stopping point. So I think you have to be flexible and continue that work. Collaboration as well. It should be a group effort between students, upper administration, and student leaders. We should all be working together to collaborate and communicate these concerns and working to have Oakland a better place for everyone. And self-awareness. None of us are going to be perfect ever, and being aware of where your flaws are and adjusting them and becoming a better leader and a better student and a better member of the Oakland community is of utmost importance to me.
All right, thank you, Adeline. And then next we'll ask, what is the both of your biggest weaknesses? And we'll lead that one off with Jordan.
I would say that it is probably the amount of things I want to get done. I definitely put a lot of things on my platform, but again, those are things that I'm very passionate about and I do want to get done. And I believe that if you are passionate about everything that you want to get done, that you can get it all done or get a majority of it done. And if not, you're definitely setting a precedent for people to continue your ideas and to build upon what you've done.
All right, thank you. Adeline?
My biggest weakness, without a doubt, is being a workaholic. I absolutely adore and love Oakland, and I love working for Oakland, and I catch myself working a little too much. So I know I need to step back and work on that a little bit more and make sure I'm working on myself and giving myself time, because if I'm not at my best, I can't give my best. So that would definitely be my biggest weakness.
All right, thank you. And then in your own words, what is the purpose of OU Student Congress and what is their duty? I'll let you answer the rest. And then we'll go ahead with Jordan.
The purpose of Student Congress is to be a voice for the students and to be that middleman between the student body and administration. I feel that if students have a concern, even if it's a small one, and even if it's only a couple people, that it should be addressed and it should be advocated for. Because if you're not advocating for the student body, then I don't even know like who you're representing. So yeah.
Thank you. And Adeline.
I would say the purpose of Student Congress is to represent the student body. That's why we have elections. That's why we elect legislators. That's why we go through a process of who's representing us in Student Congress. It's not just we're making the rules and everyone else has to follow. It is a collaborative process and we are all working together. And we definitely we're speaking up for those people who maybe are a little afraid to share their voice. So having an open, personable communication where they can come to us and share their thoughts and feelings, and we are able to present that to upper administration or present that to the rest of the student body.
All right, and then I've got two follow-up questions, one for each of you. So Jordan, you mentioned you have a lot of things on your agenda when you do become sitting president, and I think the students would be pleased to hear. Is it about the quantity of policy that is put out, blanket policy that maybe isn't as detail oriented, or is it about the is it about the quantity that may not be as detail oriented given the rush to put these policies out, or is it about quality of getting the things done that effectively help the entire student body versus go ahead.
I would say that it's definitely a mixture. Of course, you don't want to put out too many things without making sure that they are quality. But I would also argue that if you get one thing done and not the rest of it because you're too focused on perfecting every single detail, that it is almost just as bad as getting out a lot of things that are poor quality. And I have definitely always done that with my work, whether that's like actually at work or if it's, at school. I always do a mixture of quality and quantity. And I do believe that we can get a majority of the things done on my platform. I don't think that is too much for me, especially when I have the support of our executive board and our legislators and everyone in Student Congress. I believe that these are things that we can get done, and I don't think that it's too much.
All right, thank you. And Adeline, you mentioned a lot about making sure that all the students are collaborating. And we're currently at a point right now where a lot of students are not. The student organization, as being the SFB chair, I'm sure you're aware that the student organization involvement is at an all-time low. Greek life is at an all-time low. So how can we ensure that, given all of that, that students from all over broad different kinds of perspectives are participating and giving out their opinion?
I think just reaching out to individual departments and reaching out to individualized groups. A good example is I am currently the student representative for the ELIS committee, which is the e-learning and instructional support committee. And I sent out a forum to all the different departments so we could hear from students of all grades and all majors and minors expressing their concerns about online learning. So I think polls and forums are a great way to utilize this and learn more about the students and hear their voices, and reaching out to department chairs directly, reaching out to upper administration, just being very active and on top of it. I recognize that involvement is very low right now, but as SAFB chair, I can assure you that there have been accomplishments. There are organizations that want to be involved and want to still work, and reassuring them will push them to be more involved.
All right, thank you. And then without further ado, we'll move on to topic number 4. So of the things listed on your platform, what is the most important thing you'd like to achieve? And I would start that off with Adeline.
The most important part of our initiative is health and wellness. This year has been extremely difficult for students. We've been online, we've been at home alone, we've been working online, we're not going outside, we're not seeing friends and family. It's been very difficult, myself included. I know it's been hard. And so we really want to advocate health and wellness, physical and mental wellness. And we want to do so by partnering with the Rec Center and partnering with the Graham Health Center, having events and resources. Mental health should be a priority, having encouraging those free counseling sessions, having support groups, participating with Stress Less Day, contributing to the Graham Health Center Emergency Relief Fund. Just mental and physical wellness should be of utmost importance, and especially with everything that's going on in the world right now. 2020 has been an insane year.
All right, thank you. And Jordan?
I also think that health and wellness is an important aspect of Adeline and Annabella's platform. I would kind of disagree with the way that it's been brought about. I think that some of the things that promote health and wellness are addressing some of the systemic issues. So the most important thing to me is definitely the minority graduation rate. With 20% of Black students graduating in 6 years or less, I think that is definitely an issue. And we want to address this. Of course, I've kind of already mentioned it, but we want to address it with scholarships, with financial aid literacy. And I've already spoken to some people who are working on this already, but it is a program that has been underfunded and not given enough attention by the university. And I want to advocate for that program and help expand it for sure.
Okay, thank you. And how can these best be accomplished? What are some tangible ways in which we can do these things? And I'll start off with Jordan.
Yeah, so we are currently planning on doing a lot of scholarships for students of color. We also want to do more academic support, and we also want to do the financial aid literacy programs. I'll expand on those. A lot of students of color are actually also first generation students, so it really does tie into that point of my platform as well. And a lot of first generation students whose parents have not gone to college or anyone in their family has not gone to college, they don't have access to somebody who knows about financial aid, who knows about FAFSA, who can explain what all of that like scholarship terminology is. And we want to ensure that they have that same access to those resources as people whose parents did go to college. And scholarships are because a lot of first generation students come from lower income families, and so do a lot of minority students. So scholarships would definitely help with the financial aspect. And then for academic support, a lot of students who are dropping out of college or have to take a few extra years to graduate, it's because they've lost those scholarships due to academic struggles and they're not getting enough support. I spoke to the director of the first generation program that I was talking about earlier, and she told me that 50% of Oakland students who are first generation in their sophomore and junior year reached out to her and told her that they needed more academic support because their GPAs have dropped so low that they've been losing those scholarships. So that's how we would address that problem.
Okay, and Adeline.
I kind of discussed it already before, but I would say the main focus of what is attainable and what we can do would be partnering with the Graham Counseling Center. So providing those resources and providing information to students, kind of debunking some misinformation or confusion about COVID-19 or mental health. Mental health is seen as something is wrong with you, something's not right, and that's not true. Mental illness and mental health is so important, and it shouldn't be shamed or looked down upon for wanting to get help for that. So encouraging those free counseling sessions, see if we can possibly donate more funding and increase that free sessions from 6 to maybe 7 or 8. Having those support groups at the health center as well, contributing to the emergency relief funding, which keeps those testings free. If we receive the vaccine, contributing to that to keep vaccines free for those who don't have health insurance. And like I said as well, partnering with the rec center, having events, providing resources, but definitely at the core will be mental health and the Graham Health Center and keeping students safe within the pandemic and COVID-19.
Okie we've got about 2 minutes left on this subject. If either of you would like to add any additional points about your platform or what you're trying to achieve prior to we go into the student questions, feel free to go ahead.
Yeah, I wanted to speak on the health and wellness aspect of Adeline's platform. I just feel like personally that the free sessions are already definitely advocated for, and they're definitely being used as well in our orientations, in convocations, in floor meetings for everyone who lives on housing. They're already being advocated for. Students with mental illnesses, if they need to go to those free counseling sessions, have definitely been going to those. And there are definitely some who are a little bit more afraid to go. And definitely one of the reasons that I've heard is because they have to call to make an appointment. And a lot of people have anxiety about phone calls. One of the things that I was speaking to Brendan about just yesterday was I thought that it'd be a good idea to have online signups for those counseling sessions. And I feel like that is a better way to ensure that students who need those sessions are getting those sessions, because if students need to go for anxiety, they're going to have phone call anxiety. They're not going to want to call. It's a bit harder for those with depression to make phone calls as well. So I feel like that would be a better way to advocate for students to use those.
Okay, thank you. And it's funny that we kind of got into that subject towards the end there. So the first question submitted by students that we're going to be asking is, what is it about your administration's goals that are so better, so to speak, than your opponents? And I'll start off with Adeline.
I don't think there's any part of our platform initiatives that are better than our opponents. As I've been consistently advocating, it should be open communication and collaboration. I think our opponents have some wonderful ideas. I think we have some wonderful ideas. I think this should be continued and smushed together, collaborating, communicating with upper administration. I don't think one is over another. That's the whole point of what we want to do, is we want all voices to be heard. There's many different pathways that we can achieve these goals, and I would like to explore all the pathways and figure out what is the best way we can accomplish our goals and what is best for the students on campus.
Okay, thank you. And Jordan?
I would say the thing that makes our platform better is the drive for change. And I do think that Adeline and Annabella have a lot of great things in their platform, but most of them are about continuing to do things, about keeping things the same, and about expanding things that are already there. And again, wonderful ideas. I just feel like our platform is more about systemic issues, and they're more about change. Like the minority graduation rate, I feel like that is something that definitely needs to be addressed. And I kind of think it's insane that it has never been addressed, or very little at least. And then also the first generation programs, again, have been continuously underfunded. And it's another systemic issue that needs to be addressed within our system in order to make it better. And I just feel like those are more pressing issues than some of the things that have been put on my opponent's platform, as well as a lot of the things that they have on their platform are things that we have on ours as well, and we do want to keep as goals during our administration.
All right, thank you. All right, and the next question. So speaking from a voter's perspective, a candidate's track record is very important. What have you done on campus that makes you the better candidate? And I'll start off with Jordan.
I do know that my opponents are definitely very involved on campus. Currently, I am in a few music ensembles. I am also a business ambassador for the School of Business. I'm an RA. And of course, I'm also the chair of the Research and Review Committee and also a legislator in Student Congress. My first 2 years in college, I didn't do a lot of student involvement, mostly because I was working almost full time to pay for college. But as an RA now, I am a lot more involved on campus because I have a lot more time to do so. But I do have a lot of experience in leadership from those positions, as well as from management positions from my old jobs. So, yeah.
All right, thank you. And Adeline.
I have been very involved on campus through my years here at Oakland, but I will kind of speak on this past year because I think that's even more important to see what I have accomplished throughout a pandemic. So as SAFB chair, I was able to add giveaway funding to our allocation, and I was able to start our Student Organization of the Month, where we gave additional funding to those organizations who won. We hosted many, many main stages. All were extremely successful, and we had high turnout from students. We also helped contribute to some bigger events on campus, such as Nicole Byer. We helped purchase new signage for different buildings throughout Oakland as well. And despite the obstacles, and we did not have as much participation as we normally do, but despite the obstacles, we still were able to fund over 183 organizations on campus and allocate over $79,000. We were also able to give back over $25,000 to students on campus through prizes, events, and giveaways. So I'm really proud of what I was able to accomplish as the SAFB chair, and I would love to continue accomplishing more for the student body and for Oakland.
All right, thank you. And next question will be, what makes your running mate the better option for vice president? And I'll start off with Adeline.
Could I have a little clarification on the question? So if it would be...
I apologize. I'm just reading them as they're submitted, but they're essentially just asking you to advocate for your vice president and what they bring to the table in comparison to, say, the other one. I think that's the essence of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, you're fine. I think I understand the question. So if I start speaking incorrectly, please stop me. But I think they're asking why my partner, Annabella, will make a great vice president.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So Annabella is the current vice president of Student Congress, and I think she was able to accomplish a lot during the pandemic as well. She worked on creating the first ever first generation student scholarship fund. She aided in first generation recognition week. She started these monthly concerns forums. Maybe they need a little adjusting, but she started it. She got the ball rolling. She worked on implementing OU's first ever anti-discrimination syllabus policy, sat at the provost search committee interviews, organized giveaways of over 40 different scholarships. She worked with some of the main stages with SAFB as well, aided in helping and satisfied and unsatisfied grading policy, and aided in allocating money to the deans of student offices emergency funding relief. The list goes on and on. I could advocate for Annabella for the rest of the time we have here, but I won't make you sit through that. But I think Annabella has started a lot, and she is just getting started. And I would love to have her and me continue what we've started and push it to even bigger and better. So, thank you.
All right. Thank you. And Jordan.
So Brennan and I have been on Student Congress together for about a year now, and we're definitely really good friends now, and I think that we work very well together. So that is why I chose him to be my vice president, is because I believe that the president, vice president team should be very collaborative and work very well together. I really would advocate for the fact that Brennan is very understanding of the struggles of students. Him and I both are first gen students, and we're also both minorities, of course. And that is why our main points, of course, we're advocating for those underrepresented groups. We also definitely have, I've definitely also seen Brennan grow a lot throughout the year that I've known him. And I think that he's going to make a great vice president if elected. And yeah, we're just very excited to advocate for students, and I think that he'll be a great fit for that.
All right, thank you. And Jordan, or not Jordan, sorry, I'm thinking ahead already. Is there anything on your platform that hasn't been already previously addressed by OU Student Congress or discussed? And I'll lead that off with Jordan.
I think that pretty much most of the things on my platform have not been addressed by Student Congress. The minority graduation rate has not. First generation students have definitely been addressed, but I don't think that the needs specific to first generation students, like translators, have been addressed. The Bear Bus, I don't think has been addressed, at least in my year of being in Student Congress. I haven't seen it be addressed. Also, the system to have students share gender identity and pronouns has not. Expanding accessibility options has not. And then we've done a little bit with textbooks in the past, and we've looked at different ways to give students textbooks, but I've seen the textbook scholarships not work out too well. So textbook drives have been talked about in Student Congress, and I definitely want to do that with the legislators who came up with that idea. So it's been talked about a little bit, but not fully done. We've talked a little bit about COVID-19, but I don't think we've talked anything about giving out information for it. We have also talked about funding sustainability efforts like the farm. I just want to ensure that that is being funded by the university, and not from us. We've also talked a little bit about student workers. I actually just passed a resolution yesterday in Student Congress for our student workers. And then I don't think we've talked about food in Vandenberg being good for students with allergies and food sensitivities, but yeah, I think that most of the things on our platform have not been addressed yet, and that is why I want to represent those causes.
Okay, thank you. And Adeline.
Aside from our main initiatives, there are some smaller initiatives that we feel have not been started by Student Congress or have just reached the beginning stages and have not been continued. This would be emergency support services. We did begin starting to fund different relief funding on campus, but I think it kind of came to a stop, and I would like to continue that and provide more to campus. Some other things we didn't talk about was Greek life support. As mentioned earlier, Greek life has very low involvement this year, and they need the support as well as all the other organizations on campus. We didn't discuss on-campus dining. I know Jordan mentioned it as well, but having more options for students with dietary restrictions and having late night come back. I know myself from living on campus, there was many times I missed that last dinner, and late night saved my life. Otherwise, I wouldn't have eaten any dinner. I know this is always a controversial topic, but we haven't really brought it up, but parking. We all know parking is a struggle. I have spent so long looking around for parking spots, and I know there will be limitations with this, but I would like to bring that conversation back to the table. At least starting with maybe more overnight spots would be a good start. Some other things, I'm trying not to mention the same things as Jordan, but I know students have wanted more the Bear Bus back, so looking at alternatives with that, seeing if we can work through a different organization instead of housing, so maybe like student affairs, or having I think this is about everything. A lot of what our initiatives are stuff that we have started and we would like to continue, especially with the health and wellness as well. We started with the contributing, the relief funding, and we would like to continue that with providing more resources and event for students. So that's it. Thank you.
Right. One of the things that is generally talked about in regards to Oakland University, both amongst the students and not, is the controversy regarding the Department of Mathematics. The course failure rate has been generally high over the course of the years, and it has risen throughout the COVID-19 pandemic. Do you believe that the results of this shows to the quality of the professors in the math department, or does it show a lack of accountability on the students' part? And these are extremely significant subjects because they apply to literally every major and every student that is going to come to this university. And most of these failures happen in the early stage of the freshman and sophomore years. And what are some solutions to be offered based on your answer? I'll start that off with Jordan.
I've definitely been hearing about the math department problem my entire time here at Oakland. And I definitely do not think it's the students' fault or a lack of accountability on their part, especially since it is a large portion. It just definitely cannot be all of their fault. It just doesn't make sense statistically. And I also know that there is a lot of tutoring, especially for math, but there's just a lot of tutoring in general. And I've seen students at especially the APM math nights, the room was always packed when we were in person for math nights, and people were always getting tutoring for math. So I know that it is definitely not the students' fault. Math, just in general at universities, is used as like a weeder course, they call it, or a course to ensure that you're just super good at math so that you do well in the rest of your major, I guess, something like that. But I definitely think that's an issue. It should not be a test for students. It should be a course. It should be for students to learn. So yeah, I would say that it definitely does speak on the quality of the professors and or the quality of the math department as a whole, and the coursework and the layout of the courses themselves.
Thank you. And Adeline.
I don't think there is any specific person or specific point to blame for this. I think this is a problem that's been going on for a long time. And I think that this year, especially with online learning, math is extremely difficult to learn online. it's not easy, and I know students are struggling from not having that in person. I think a good place to start is speaking with the department chair heads, speaking to professors and faculty, speaking to the students, having polls, forums, surveys, gathering all the information first so we can hear from both sides and see what's going on. Is there a specific reason why this is happening? Can we pinpoint it? Can we find it? And from there, we can build and we can figure out a new solution and how we can move forward. And I think, again, using the tutoring center is a great resource. So advocating for that more. Maybe we having that conversation with faculty, we can discuss incorporating that into classes. Maybe students will be required to attend one time. I know in the English classes and the introduction classes, they have students attend the writing center once, and maybe you get extra credit or you get participation points. So that way students know what the resources are, and they kind of have that push to go and get them, and they'll feel more comfortable continuing to use them.
All right, thank you. Let me find another question. What can you and your administration do to ensure that breaks are restful for the students and aren't filled with additional work, so they can really take this time to take a step back and get perspective? I'll lead that off with Adeline.
I know this has been a big issue. I have experienced it myself, not having an actual break, having work to do over a break. And I think there's a lot of disconnect between faculty and students. Some believe that if it's a short break, there can still be work, or if there's a long break, then there's no work. And I think we really need to cultivate that open communication and collaboration. I would suggest working on this how Student Congress worked on satisfactory and unsatisfactory grading by taking a poll and forum and gathering information from students and explaining their hardships, why they need this break, advocating for mental health and wellness, and having that information condensed into a PowerPoint presentation or a verbal presentation that we can then present to the Board of Trustees. We have done this before. We did with the SU grading. They want to listen, they want to hear students, and if you have all the facts and you can present them well informed, and you have students supporting you behind you, we can make these changes. We can make it so there is actually rest when we should be resting.
Okay, thank you. And Jordan.
I've definitely seen this issue affect probably hundreds of students, again, during my 3 years here, including me a few times. I definitely think that there should be a rule similar to the one that is done during finals week, where there can't be any homework assigned during that week of studying. I think that should be done during breaks so that students don't have to worry about that, because as we've said a few times here, mental health is definitely a priority for everyone. And I think that not assigning homework during the break, but also not having quizzes or tests due the day right after break, because it's also a big burden on students during break, because then they have to worry about studying and everything. So I think that presenting this issue to administration, and I would definitely recommend for that rule to be put in place.
All right, thank you. And the next question would be, as president, you would be the direct supervisor over the executive board. What type of environment would you like to promote among the e-board, and how will you ensure that it sustains throughout the course of an entire semester, given that you are dealing with subjects that affect the student population directly? And I'll lead that off with Jordan.
I definitely want to foster a collaborative environment, and also a friendly environment and an open environment. I want to make sure that everyone feels comfortable around each other, and I want to make sure that everyone is working towards goals together, especially, again, because my platform is so ambitious. I will definitely need the support of the e-board and of the legislators. So having a collaborative environment is very important. I also want to ensure that it is a bit more inclusive than it has been in past years. I've noticed, along with my running mate Brennan, we've noticed that in a few of the previous years, the e-board has been not as inclusive to people of color. There's been either like 1, 2, or a little bit more, but never really enough. So I want to ensure that we are collaborative, inclusive, and friendly.
Okay, thank you. And Adeline.
Well, as current SAFB chair, I've already overseen my own executive board, so I have some experience and knowledge of what works and what doesn't work. And moving forward as president, collaboration is key. Having weekly check-ins with the executive board members, seeing what they're working on, giving suggestions, but it's important not to overstep. They should feel they are in control of their position and they are in control of the decisions. I am there for help and support. If there is something rule related or something we can't do, we will work around it, find out what we can do. How can we work together to make this happen? And just having that collaboration and communication consistently with the executive board members, having the weekly meetings, having some bonding as well. So having a fun event as well and bonding it together as a group so we feel more comfortable with one another and it's more than just working. We're working for the students and we're working together and we enjoy being together. And I think this will really help build our relationship and cultivate a successful executive board that is happy to work and happy to support students.
All right, thank you. And we'll lead on with, are there any specific environmental projects you would like to undertake to improve campus sustainability? And I'll lead that off with Adeline.
We would like to enforce recycling. When I lived in the AVNs, it wasn't really clear when recycling was taken out or if it was taken out. So kind of clearing up that confusion, having recycling be consistently taken out along with the trash, reducing one-use plastic in the dining halls. We've already made that transition with the to-go boxes, so maybe moving it to metal straws and continuing that and getting rid of the one-use plastic. Our RLA is already working with Chartwells and Housing to ensure this happens, and we would like to collaborate with them and have that open communication as well. And again, just sending out polls and forums. What do the students want to see? How can we help them? How can we assist them and create a sustainable campus as well as a happy campus?
Okay, thank you. And Jordan.
As an RA in the past year, I have advocated for a lot of the sustainability issues in Chartwells. And also as an RA, I have definitely seen the recycling being taken out very consistently from soap. But I do definitely want to make sure that funding to the organic farm is being done because that is a really important program on our campus. And I've noticed a lot that some of the sustainability efforts on campus that have been supported by the university are typically those energy sustainability ones, and they're mostly focused on saving the university money, which again is an important thing to save money. But I think that some of the other sustainability projects should be funded as well. I know that the organic farm has a lot of ideas in increasing sustainability in specifically Vandenberg and in Hillcrest dining halls. But again, they have not been given enough funding or attention from the university to do so. Additionally, I know that soap is currently planned to be taken away. And I am, again, currently advocating for that to not happen because that is a really important aspect of our campus, especially because they do handle the recycling and they have had a lot of people come to their programs this year. But again, they've been historically underfunded by the university, but it is very important to make sure that these sustainability projects are being funded and given attention.
All right, thank you. And that will just about conclude all of our questioning for the debates. I'm going to give each candidate 2 minutes to give any closing remarks they'd like and sum up anything else they would like to. And we'll start off with Jordan.
So I just want to conclude by mostly just recapping some of the things that I stand for. I really do stand for equal access to education, and I am ready to advocate for students' needs no matter what the cost is or the risks. and I am currently working to ensure that student workers are being seen, heard, and respected by the university. And I genuinely do believe that Adeline is a great member of OUSC currently, but again, I take issue with the lack of change presented in her and Annabella's platform. I, again, do think that health and wellness, emergency support services, transparency, and campus involvement are all amazing things to advocate for. But I think that some things in our platform, such as the minority graduation rate, accessibility for disabilities, sustainability, and first-generation support, are more dire, more pressing, and they address some more overhead systemic issues that have not been addressed in the past. And I would also like to note the lack of comment on the very popular petition that's been supporting student workers and their rights from Adeline and Annabella's campaign. As somebody who has advocated for student workers to upper administration the entire year I've been working here, and as a founding member of the Oakland United Student Workers Coalition, I feel that it is just extremely disappointing to see the lack of support for student workers. And I believe that our OUSC administration should support and represent the people. Over 500 people have signed this petition, and if we aren't advocating for those 500 people, then who are we representing? My platform, though, is extremely ambitious, and that is because I am, and I intend to get as much done as possible if elected. Thank you all for coming out today.
All right, thank you. And then Adeline, for any closing remarks.
Annabella and I successfully led our organizations through a pandemic. This was something no previous vice president or SAB chair had ever dealt with before. We had to be flexible and adapt to the situation, and we still had success. As I said earlier, leading the SAB committee, we were able to fund over $79,000 to the organizations on campus, and it's still growing. We're still receiving requests daily, and we were able to give over $25,000 back to students on campus through events, prizes, and giveaways. As we move towards in-person, Annabella and I have the knowledge and experience, especially with leadership through a pandemic, to lead our students safely and as smoothly as possible as we make this transition. And we truly hope that you will consider myself and Annabella for your next president and vice president. Thank you.
All right, we're going to bring this to a conclusion here. I'd like to thank everybody for showing up. We've got almost 40 people here. We did cover a lot of topics. The recording will be available for reference going down the line. That'll be available online. The voting opens up this coming Friday and will be going on through the next Friday. So those would be, let me get the dates real quick. We got a second. Friday the 12th through Friday the 19th, the polls will be open. So please go ahead, go out and vote. And then again, please do your background research on everybody that you are voting for, as we would encourage for any candidate, both in the United States political realm and right here at Oakland University. I'm sure neither of the candidates have any issues answering any questions via email, whatever it may be. But again, do your research, vote for who you believe in, and be safe and take care.